And today we are back with more inappropriate, controversial, and just plain bad covers coming at you. Hello to all my esteemed comic book critics, Dante D here, bringing you all another video, and welcome to the channel where we talk about comic books and other geek stuff. If you're new to the channel today, welcome. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing and check out the channel for other videos on topics related to geek culture. Also, before you go today, please do not forget to follow the channel on Instagram and Twitter for news about what's going on with the channel and for fun, tasty, geeky tidbits. And you've all probably noticed by now that today I am wearing glasses. No, these are not new. These are my Henry Kissinger meets Clark Kent glasses that I really should wear more often, considering the fact that I have a -7 prescription.
My glasses!
So as mentioned in the intro, today we're going to be talking about not only bad comic book covers, but also comic book covers that were controversial upon their release, and covers that were unintentionally inappropriate but hilarious. So not all of these covers are going to be ugly and have bad art per se, and some of you might actually like some of these covers, but all of these covers do have something very interesting to offer. I am so excited about this list today. I have been tirelessly reading blogs and articles and forums online to find the ugliest, most inappropriate, and controversial covers to bring to you today. And also, before we get into this list, just a little disclaimer. If you're at all offended by crude sexual humor, I would probably move on to another video, just because this video will contain a little bit of that. I love doing these kind of videos every so often. It really allows me to be a teeny bopper again. It's just so fun. So let's get into this list. These books that you're going to see here are going to appear in no particular order. The first book on our list is What If Volume 2, number 93, featuring this hideous Wolverine cover. I really apologize if you like this cover. I just think it's terrible. Not only is this Wolverine grossly out of proportion, but his hair looks like a really bad merkin, and he has these honeycomb looking ribs. I don't know what's up with those. And let's not forget about the pubic salad that he has on his forearms.
Mom is making a pubic salad, and I need some Seth's own dressing.
I mean, I thought my forearms were bad. Looking at this cover, I feel a lot better about my forearms. I don't know whether I would call the cover of Gay Comics number 22 a foodgasm or an orgasm. Seriously, this cover has it all. It has frosting, blowing, and a splat. And if that's not enough for you, the guy here is saying, I bet she can't blow hard enough to, splat. Now, we all know that the innuendos with this cover were unintentional, because back in the day, gay didn't even have the same meaning that it has today. It actually meant happy. But looking at this cover all these years later, it's pretty freaking hilarious.
That was a gay old time. Ho, I ate my share of wieners that day.
And next, I bring you Peter Parker Spider-Man Volume 2, number 55, with this gorgeous cover. I just love Spider-Man's face on this cover. He's like, what are y'all looking at? It's like, Spidey, what is there not to look at? Seriously, what is up with this cover? Why are his feet and all his body parts so huge, and he just looks like he's mutating into something? This is mutant even by mutant standards. This is the cover of Conan Volume 1, number 9, with the biggest tension and the biggest veins that I've ever seen. This guy looks like he's constipated and trying to pass gallstones all at the same time. And before you ask, no, this is not Rob Liefeld artwork. I know at first glance it looks like Rob Liefeld work, but it is not. I didn't even research who the artist was. I didn't really think it mattered. At first glance, the cover of Amazing Spider-Man number 422 doesn't look too bad. But when you look at it long enough, and the placement of the characters, kind of looks like Spider-Man is punching the clown for the guy in the electric chair. And what's even more hilarious is the fact that the guy in the electric chair does not look particularly happy about what Spider-Man is doing. The next book on our list is Marvel number 6. She's coming in like a wrecking ball, but I'm telling you, this book here did not need a wrecking ball to destroy it. Marvel is considered one of the worst comics of all time for its mediocre art and just terrible writing. This was a very, very controversial book because it was super sexualized and they really kind of pushed the boundaries of what was politically correct at the time with this book. Needless to say, this book was critically reviled by the public. When I was doing research for this video and I came across this next book, I thought it was a little weird. And that is an understatement, and it's also saying a lot considering all these books on this list have something that's a little weird about them. This next book is Hansi, the girl who loved the swastika. Messed up, I know, right? This book, in fact, actually condemns Nazism, but if you were a person whose family was victimized by the Nazis back when this book came out, I believe it came out in 1973, seeing this cover in a store would really make you kind of feel a little uncomfortable. Even though this book condemned Nazism, I found this cover to be a little heavy and inappropriate, not only by today's standards, but I think also by 1970s standards. This next book is a book that I'm sure you were all familiar with, and that is The Ultimates number 8. And if you don't know this book, I'm sure you're probably looking at it right now and you're thinking, that's not so bad. I don't see what's so bad about that cover. Actually, if anything, I think the art's really nice on this cover. But what if I told you that the characters on this cover, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, were brother and sister? Getting some weird vibes from that now. So this is the comic where Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch infamously go Jaime and Cersei Lannister on us. And if that's not enough, in this interpretation of the Marvel Universe, Wolverine is actually their father, and he catches them getting it on in the woods. Yeah, I know, that's messed. Needless to say, when this book came out, it was controversial. Really, I wonder why. Could it be because of the incestuous relationship between a brother and a sister? Oh yeah, I think they made Hulk a cannibal in that too, didn't they? I have to admit though, reading The Ultimates number 8 really prepared me for that special relationship between Jaime Lannister and Cersei Lannister in Game of Thrones. I remember watching Game of Thrones and thinking, it's already been done.
The things I do for love.
No, I'm sorry, I just can't get there. Both are equally as messed. Lois Lane number 106. This is the infamous Black issue. Now, DC Comics had some really good intentions with this book. DC Comics tried to do a story that was socially relevant at a time when racial tensions were high. But the story ended up being corny and it had a lot of racist stereotypes in it. This is the issue in which Lois Lane turns black in order to get a story in a part of town that is mostly black, and it's called Little Africa. I couldn't think of a better name than that. By being a black woman for a day, Lois Lane learns the black experience, and by the end she asks Superman, would you still marry me even if I remained black? Well, what did Superman do? He kind of hemmed and hawed, and he didn't have to answer the question because at the end of the day, she turned back before he could answer. I just think that's hilarious. Guess DC Comics wasn't ready for interracial relationships yet. Batman number 7. This was a cover that I thought wasn't too bad, but it did appear on a lot of worst comic book cover lists that I was researching. And I think it was on those lists mostly because of the position that Robin's in. This cover is actually known as the Robin rim job cover because it kind of looks like Robin's motorboat in the criminal's butt there. But I don't know. I didn't think it was too bad, but I can see why people would think that this was a unintentionally inappropriate cover.
You motorboating son of a bitch, you old sailor, you.
Superboy number 55, I'm sure you can tell right away what is wrong with this cover. This is a butt spanking cover. And actually, if you research a lot of the worst comic book covers of all time, there are actually a lot of these butt spanking covers. Like the Golden Age and some of the Silver Age too, had a lot of covers that portrayed characters being spanked in the butt. I guess that's just something they did back in the day, but all these years later, looking at these covers, it kind of looks a little hilarious. Hey guys, you ever get stuck waiting around for your girlfriend while she's getting ready? What did you do during that time? Did you make a snack? Did you read a book? Did you start getting it on with her sister? Well, that is exactly what is happening on the cover of Ideal Romance number 4. When I saw this cover, I started laughing right away. There's this guy's girlfriend that's getting ready, and she's like, don't worry, while I'm getting ready, my sister will amuse you. Captain America number 69. This is the infamous Captain America crotch grab cover. I didn't think personally that this cover was too bad, but again, it did appear on a lot of worst comic book covers lists. I think what's funny about this cover is the fact that Captain America is tied up, and out of nowhere, this hand is reaching up to a place that looks like his crotch. And I know what they're trying to do here is reenact Gulliver's Travels. That's where that whole tying up with little people came from. But it's still a little funny nevertheless. Now, during the golden age of comics, superheroes were in. That is what people wanted to read. So there were just dozens and dozens of superheroes that were being created. Well, every so often, I feel like there were some publishers that were short on ideas and really kind of rushed to create a superhero. Seriously, I could just imagine it. Hey, Chuck, I'm having a hard time thinking of a superhero this week. I don't know, how about we make God a superhero? Yeah, that's good. And every superhero needs a supervillain, right? So, I don't know, how about Hitler? He's real bad. I'm not even religious, and I think this cover is a little messed up. Like, really? God? God Comics? I don't know. Next up is a very famous controversial cover. This is Iron Man number 128, the famous, or infamous rather, Demon in a Bottle cover. The cover that portrays Iron Man as an alcoholic. At the time that this was released, this was a little controversial because alcoholism was a topic that was never really tackled in comic books before. So when this comic hit the stands, it really packed a punch. I must compliment Tony Stark though on his refined palate as he's drinking Canadian whiskey. I'm sure all of my Scottish viewers right now are like, ah. Another very famous controversial cover is Crime Suspense Stories number 22. This is the cover that is considered to be the one responsible for pretty much starting the whole Frederick Wertham crusade against the comic book industry and the Comics Code Authority. In fact, this cover here was a subject at a Senate subcommittee hearing on the effects of comic book on youth, and which William Gaines, the then publisher of EC Comics, attended. And they famously asked him, "Sir, do you believe that this cover here is in bad taste?" And William Gaines famously responded, "No, I do not think it is in bad taste." He said that it was in good taste because you couldn't see any of the blood or guts dripping from the head. He said that if there were blood and guts dripping from the head, then it would be in bad taste. Next up, we have Denny O'Neil's run on Wonder Woman. So this is not one particular issue, but a whole run. This is the run where Denny O'Neil infamously took away all of the power that Wonder Woman had and just kind of made her more of this kind of spy character. The public was outraged that Denny O'Neil would take away Wonder Woman's powers, and feminists were especially outraged. Famous feminists like Gloria Steinem wrote to Denny O'Neil explaining that they were very upset at Denny O'Neil's decision to take power away from a symbol of female power. Next up, we have the Astonishing X-Men number 51, which famously portrays the wedding of Northstar, who was the first openly gay character in comic books. This was super controversial because not only did it portray a character, the first character who was openly gay, but it also showed him getting married to his lover. That had never happened before in comics, but Marvel took a big progressive leap with this book, and I think at first it caused a little bit of outrage amongst people who were a little bit more conservative, but at the end of the day, I think it was very noble of Marvel to take this step. Batgirl number 41 from the New 52. This cover here, in fact, is actually a variant cover that portrays the Joker with Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, in a really kind of uncomfortable position. Now, in my opinion, Batman the Killing Joke was probably one of the best comic books ever written. I absolutely love the Killing Joke. But for fans of Batgirl and feminists and anybody who's just really a little sensitive, they were kind of scarred by what happened to Batgirl in that book. And this cover here was a reminder of that trauma. Fans were so outraged by this variant cover that DC Comics actually had to pull it from the shelves. This is the Ecstatics cover featuring Princess Diana as a hero, and the title of this story was called Die Another Day. Yeah, this cover is a little bit in bad taste, not only in my opinion, but in the majority of people's opinions. Princess Diana was a person who was much beloved by many people, even people who were not necessarily fans of the royal family. So when this cover was kind of pitched, it didn't go very far because most people thought that it indeed was in bad taste. I actually don't even think that this cover even made it to print. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, I'm not entirely sure. Everyone feast your eyes on Jughead's Eat Out comic. I literally busted out laughing when I saw this cover. Obviously, this cover was unintentionally inappropriate. Actually, at the time when it came out, it wasn't even inappropriate. But if you're looking at this cover in 2018, I just think it's really hilarious. Obviously, because Eat Out has another connotation. Spider-Woman #1. This cover has become actually very famous in recent years. This is a cover by, I believe the artist's name is Milo Manara, who is a Spanish artist who is known for erotic art. Well, when you commission an erotic artist to do a cover, obviously the cover is going to come out a little erotic. So when this cover came out, it was a little controversial for the portrayal of Spider-Woman. I guess this was a little too sexy for some people. Here we have Action Comics number 869. This is the famous beer cover. I don't know why this cover was controversial, but at the end of the day, it was, to the point where DC Comics had to pull all the original covers of this book off the shelves and reprint it. So in the original printing of this issue, Superman and his father are portrayed on the cover sharing a beer together. They were just on the farm having a good time sharing a beer. I don't know why that was such a big deal, but it was very controversial, to the point where DC had to reprint it and re-release it as Superman on the cover with his father sharing a soda. I don't know, but then again, maybe I'm missing something here. Is there a piece of the puzzle that I'm missing? Is there another reason why this cover was very controversial? Please, if you know or you have any other information about this book, let me know in the comments. And last book on our list is Catwoman #1 by Guillaume March. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm not sure if I did. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is the Catwoman New 52 #1, which was really kind of controversial for its portrayal of Catwoman. People felt it was kind of over-sexualized and sexist, with Catwoman showing her cleavage and the diamonds falling all over her chest. The criticism of March's work continued with his work on Catwoman #0, which portrayed Catwoman in another sexy pose, but one that was just anatomically impossible. So that about does it for our list today. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments of any books that you feel were really kind of unintentionally inappropriate or controversial or just plain ugly. Until next time, this is Dante D signing off. I will see you all in the next episode.